Yeah, speaking of the next top part, we're talking about best films, and I mean the best of the best now, the best of the best of the best. So hey, so you may as well just start off since I started off the last one with the worst stuff. Hayden, what is this? And you might as well just start with the best stuff.
All right,
What is
so
your what is your pick for the best film of 2021?
Suicide Squad.
Hmm. Without a doubt.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Like I think that is one of the best because you got James Gunn doing what he does best,
Yeah.
taking characters, a lot of them not as well known, and making them doing them really well, really giving them good character depths, giving them actual good character arcs, and just being able to actually take an ensemble and making everybody feel memorable, and you actually care what happens to every character. And of course, just amazing performances all around.
Oh yes.
And I just cannot get over how great that opening sequence is.
Yes.
Well, everything goes to shit. One of my favorite moments is when you got Michael frickin' Rooker. So serious. He looks like he's ready to like kick some ass and starts screaming like a little girl and just runs away.
And of
It's
course,
so unexpected and I love it.
I love how chaotic the first scene is, and it just contrasts to how serious the mission room is because they're just like, ah, we expected this, you know.
Yep. And also it's like I feel like it was a better like a better movie for Harley Quinn than the Birds of Prey movie. I kind of feel like we actually get a better, understanding of Harley's character and her, kind of like moving on from Joker. I feel
Yeah.
like there's a better job of like addressing that.
Hmm.
While of course maintaining the fact that she is still Harley Quinn. She is still a little crazy.
Yes. You know, it's Harley Quinn. We can't really default from that. All right.
And of course I have to I love the fact that someone finally used Starro as a villain.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Like it's taken so long to actually see him on the big screen as a villain.
And
Because usually he's just been like I've only seen him a couple times in like the animated TV shows. So
yeah,
that was nice to finally see that happen.
and they make Starlo sound so sympathetic too. Where it's just like
Yeah.
his last line. I was dreaming I was among the stars. I was like, good lord, James.
Yep. And again just further showing how James Gunn knows how to do characters well.
Yeah, and okay, so now my pick for best film is actually one that I was kind of surprised that was left off on that IMDb page thing. Free Guy.
Hmm.
Because I went to Free Guy because I was like, I love Ryan Reynolds. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we all love Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah. How can you not love Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah. Now I went to the movie as like, I saw the trailers and like, yeah, it's probably gotta be like this action type of movie that plays up the whole video game world aspect. But when I went to see the movie, I'm like, this is the type of movie I want to watch over and over and over and still be entertained because it is like really really entertaining as anything. Because not only is it a great like maybe what is it 90 minutes an hour like close to 2 hours I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it runs on like it just drags on and on and on and on. It actually plays well with the notion of being in a video game world, and it just plays well with everything else. And it's just like it's one of those movies where it's just like it's just so damn well.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, the performances are so good. It has a great memorable villain in terms of Takiki
Taika Waititi.
yeah, Taka TK, and he plays a villain that both makes you both laugh, but also makes you just want to go up and just punch him in the face. Like it's like that type of villain. Because
Yep.
not only is he despicable, but he's also one of those villains that you make you go and just go like, oh man, that was actually pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like one of those type of things where it's just like I love watching the movie, and it just made me go, man, this is the reason why I want to go interacting and stuff like that, or just
Mm-hmm.
being it's like to make one of those type of movies.
And just such a great premise, and who better than Ryan Reynolds to star as the lead?
Yeah. Now, what was it? Yeah, the next category was, well, actually, yeah, you go down to the next category. It's like I did all this stuff. So the next category was director. So,
Hmm.
so
Hmm. This I have to honestly go with Zack Snyder's Justice League for best director. I was kind of torn on that, but I kind of feel like I do have to land on that one for a couple reasons. One, I love the fact that he finally got to like, complete his vision for Justice League. And because, Joss Whedon's that was a terrible mess.
yeah,
And honestly, Zack Snyder, you could tell he actually cared about each character because each character has their moments in the movie. Like they're all actually given the attention that they need. Like Cyborg actually feels like an actual character, whereas with Joss Whedon's, he just kind of seemed to be there. Who you feel like he wanted to cut out of the movie altogether, but just couldn't. So it was great to actually see his character done well. Steppenwolf was done so much better. Seeing Darkseid actually there was fun because it does a great because it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can tell he was already wanting to set up the sequels for that. And then it's just like the fact that every hero actually does have a participating role in taking down the villains.
yeah,
Where you have like Barry Allen, where it's like like Superman shows up at the last minute to help save the day, but then they still failed, and then Barry Allen like runs back through time essentially to kind of reverse the events, to then give Cyborg the juice or whatever he needed, the electric juice or whatever he needed to be able to separate the mother boxes.
speed
And then
horse.
and then you see Cyborg having this moment where it's like the mother boxes are inside his head trying to manipulate him and tell him not to do this, and then he does fight back and does it.
Yeah,
And
his
then it's
own,
like,
like his own version of for the Superman story that basically does the same thing with it's a Superman story that basically has him going back where he wakes up on Krypton with his own family, with his own parents alive, and he knows it's too good to be true. And like the anime series of Justice League does a great version of that story. I think it's called For the Man Who Has Everything, or
yeah.
and and just watching Superman just like destroy that illusion and watching and knowing that like he has these, he has a son, he has a wife, he has his, has his parents, and then suddenly, and the same thing happened with Bruce Wayne with Perchance to Dream in the animated series where he's with his wife as Selena Kyle. He has his parents alive with him, but Batman is still alive and Batman is
Mhm.
still running around. So that, that's always an interesting sign.
Mhm.
And with that scene, it actually does show Cyborg uh, arc of be wanting to essentially be like with his family again, but
Why just be human again too?
yeah, and just be human again because they do tempt him with the whole humanity thing as well, and you
Mhm.
just see and the scene is so well acted too because not only does Ray Fisher does a great version of it, like showing the pain of being cyborg, but also showing the what cyborg could look as a human, and also just playing up that whole evil factorness of this is what your dream could be of just being human again.
Exactly.
Now,
And the movie, and also just one last couple of things, quick things. The movie actually feels like the protagonists are much more active, as well as the villain. So it's like everyone feels like they're actively going for their objectives. Like that one scene where it's like they fight Superman, and then Steppenwolf just happened to got the mother box in Joss Whedon's version. In the Zack Snyder version, it was they fight and Steppenwolf shows up, but then Cyborg's father took the mother box and seemingly was going to destroy it, but ended up putting like a marker on it so it could be tracked, and then sacrificed himself to kind of give the Justice League that chance to be able to find the mother boxes and then stop the villain. And
yeah,
again, there's another great emotional scene where it's like Cyborg is watching his father essentially sacrifice himself for him, knowing
yeah,
he can't do anything to save him.
yeah, and again, it is all brilliantly acted out. But again, one of the things about the Zack Snyder Justice League thing about it it goes on way too long. It does go on like way too long. I would have been
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, you know what? I love you, Zach, but there could have been bits that could have been like, snipped out and just like some save time. I'm like, do we really need slow motion shots of like Wonder Woman and having Wonder Woman having like some sort of like a orchestra going oh or something like that? I'm like, it's like almost like 30 seconds later she has yet to move or finish something yet, and the orchestra is still going.
Yeah, but I will say he did make some scenes better. But yeah, he like there was definitely too many slow mo scenes. That's definitely his thing that he needs to kind of figure out how to like tone down. But he did also make a lot of things better that Joss Whedon really kind of did butcher. Like a great example, speaking of Wonder Woman, when she's saving the children from the terrorists.
Yeah.
It's completely different in the Justice League version.
Yeah.
And it actually is much better in the Justice League version than the Joss Whedon version.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's my pick. And what is your pick?
My pick for oddly enough, it's from a Netflix movie or movies, I should say. Yes, Aiden. Netflix actually has great movies every now and then.
Hey, well, it happens, you know. As what's his name, and as Brock once said in God of War, well, even a blind pig farts up a truffle sometimes.
So the director I picked for best director of this year is Leigh Janiak, who directed the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix. And Leigh Janiak, and Leigh Janiak is a woman director, and that's usually very rare to actually have a woman director in Hollywood. To be that
absolutely, yeah.
Like there are women directors, but
it is a rarity to actually see because normally it is just men who do the directing.
But to do essentially 3 films back to back to back and show a fluent and coherent story, and still pay tribute to the book series that Fear Street is based on, and just go, wow, and if you watch interviews of her, she really talks about how she loves and knows the stuff, and she really paid tribute to these 3 for these not only pay tribute to the book series, but also pay tribute to 90s slasher movies, 80s, 80s, 70s horror movies, and then trying to figure out how do we do a 1600s, 1660s like thing of like how do we do a horror movie like that? Whereas like how do you do a horror movie that's based in the 1660s? That sort of thing, or what have you. But yeah, I appreciate the level of production that she put into it, like production design. And not only that, she actually wrote all 3 movies by herself. Not by herself, I think, but yeah.
But still, though, like the fact that she was involved in writing in the writing process for all 3 movies as well as directing them, that is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, she co-wrote it with someone else, but yeah, she was like the main writer and also the director. So, and that's hard to do too, where it's just like you're both director and the writer at the same time. It's like how do you compact all this stuff? And I do appreciate the type of commitment that she did for all 3 films, because not only that, she made very gory scenes for the most part, especially in the second movie, where it's like, the first movie. And in the second movie, there are like gory scenes, and in the third movie, there is somewhat a couple of gory scenes. But she made it both dramatic enough to actually make you care about these kids and all these characters. There's a love story that's very rare to see in a horror movie that actually goes straight and actually, where it goes, oh man, I really want these 2 women to be happy together. There's like this bully, there's like this drug dealer character that you think, oh yeah, they're a drug dealer character. They're one noted. No, the drug dealer character, she's actually pretty hilarious in her own right. And her boyfriend is, you would think the boyfriend would probably be the snooty one. There's only like maybe 1 or 2 asshole characters in that film series. And when you get those, and when those 1 or 2 characters are dead, you go like, oh man, it's like they're dead. Finally, they're dead. Other characters that you actually care about these characters when you're watching them. So yeah, the Fear Street trilogy, especially with her direction, yeah, I would have to pick her as like the best director of this year. especially since Netflix movies really, are kind of like passed over. Like, oh, it's Netflix. Like, when do they know like good movies or not?
Mm.
And now we talk about the best actor or best performance of an actor this year.
Mm.
I still have to think about mine. Hayden, who do you thinking?
I gotta go with Michael C. Hall coming back as Dexter.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because it's like I had so much anticipation for the show and seeing him return as that iconic role. And also seeing how it's like how different, his character is in this, new series based on where it ended.
Yeah.
It's like you can see where it's like he's kind of like they do a lot of good stuff in the show, and we'll probably talk more about that later. But yeah, it's like I just like what he's doing with it because like you can tell he's trying to balance out, like trying to not fall back into his roots of being a killer, but then at the same time, almost kind of like going back into it because it's like he just can't help himself. And then of course when we get a scene where he is in like a kill room, and you can see like that that classic Dexter kind of performance that he puts on when he's in a kill room when he's being totally honest with someone, and how his voice kind of subtly changes.
Yeah.
It's like it was one of those things where it felt like, oh yeah, Dexter's back.
And for my pick, it's kind of fairly obvious because I love his performance as this character, and then you just see the quality of the character just progressing in each episode. But Paul Bettany as Vision, Paul Bettany as the Vision.
Yeah, the Vision. Yeah.
I was trying to remember if he had another name or something like that, but yeah, it's just Vision. But or Visions. There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just amazed how Paul Bettany was able to create a character or play a role that just seemed like, he's just like an extra form of Jarvis, or he was created through Jarvis. So he has Jarvis's like memories and also Jarvis's tone, voice, what have you. But in WandaVision, that's when they, make the Vision into its own, like his own character. And each episode where he's just like he's slowly starting to figure out that something's amiss with Wanda. And then I'm just like, and then there's that episode where he actually looks directly at us. Like for a few seconds, he actually looks at us.
Like The Office style.
Yeah, but then he's like, look, like he's actually afraid about what's happening. And then once you think he has it all figured out, Wanda just like, nope, just rewinds the time and just like, nope, not yet.
And then it's like once he starts like talking to her about it, she's like, nope, roll credits.
Yeah. And then there's that scene where he passes by the hacks and he goes through the hacks and you just see him going like, oh man, we're gonna see Vision die again. And then you just see him play off that dramatic flair of being in pain. Because one, he's in pain. You have to imagine that Paul Bettany is on stage acting out in pain with red with green dots on him and a green shirt or what have you, just like all in like
and those things he had to have over his ears too.
Yeah. So you have to imagine he's thinking about something more worse happening to him and acted out on stage with the green stuff he's on or all that stuff. And then later in the series, spoiler alert, even though this is a show that's been like out for nearly a whole year now, he meets the Vision that was originally built on his original body. So he meets
the white Vision.
Yeah, the white Vision. And they had that scene where it's just like those two of them are just talking and they're fighting, and then Vision is like, "Have you ever heard of the
ship of Theseus?"
The ship of Theseus. And then they like those two just have like a facade, a talk about
a philosophical conversation instead of like a battle. Like I love how basically Vision took care of his villain by doing talk no jutsu.
It's like
and it's the most Vision kind of thing too. I feel like
I'm actually reminded of the scene from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World where Scott Pilgrim has to face what Nega Scott, Nega Scott, And then you think it's got to be like this great big fight scene, and then 2 seconds later they're just walking on the thing, they're just talking like bros. It's like the same thing.
Or like the one where he has to fight that one guy and he's already losing, so it's like, okay, here, have this cup of coffee. And then it had something that was like, oh no, you couldn't have this thing because of the rules or whatever, and then it's like, oh, you lose. Yeah, like that was just a fun seeing him like, yeah, I actually have to like act with himself. Like that was fun.
Yes.
And my cat's meowing outside, but I can't let her in the room because I know she's gonna want the chair that I'm sitting on, and she's gonna mess with all the cables I have set up for this.
I know, and we're kind of like going up for time anyway, but this is like almost this is like close to 2 hours, but
yeah.
By the time this thing is released, this is being split into 2 parts. So.
I was wondering if you were gonna do that.
Yes, I am.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, so this is so the first half is going to be coming out later tomorrow or tonight, and then the second half probably on Friday or what have you. But yeah. Or maybe even at the end of the. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so best performance by an actress. That's kind of hard because there was a lot of great actors. Throughout the entire 2021. But I have to go about and rethink about that too, because you might have that already in mind. Or
I have a couple in mind actually. That's what makes this tricky.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of cheat on this one and go with 2, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like I have to. Because so one of them, the first one is Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, because I absolutely love her as Harley Quinn. She is fantastic as the character.
Yeah.
And she does a great job bringing a depth to the character while maintaining the fact that yes, she is also crazy.
Yes.
So that's definitely, her for sure. But also Kathryn Hahn as Agatha Harkness.
Yes.
Because like I only ever saw her in like, Parks and Rec. I'm like, okay, she's good in that. And I'm like, oh, okay, yes, she is great. Like the way she plays her character is just amazing. They just, and again, I will still hold to the fact that she was the hero of WandaVision. Because at least she wasn't holding people hostage. And we never see her kill a dog. So how do we know if she killed a dog or if the dog was even real? Because again, it could have been a Hex creation. Like the kids weren't actually real. They were just a creation. And like how Vision wasn't real, he was just a creation of Wanda's grief.
Yes.
Kathryn Hahn as Agatha Harkness and Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad.
All right, so with my pick for best performance of the year by a female actress or actress in general, I think it's probably between 2 people. One, I have to look up to see if it came out early this year, but the most recent role that I blown away was Annabelle Wallis's in *Malignant*. And you would think, oh, okay, it's a horror movie. You got to do this horror movie shtick and all that stuff, and bear in mind you, the last time I saw her in a film was The Mummy, the Tom Cruise movie, and the less said about that, the better. And yeah, I was surprised with how well she carried that movie, because not only is the role like the role, not only is the role, like, I'm trying not to say more about the role of the movie without skimming it away, but you know what? Screw it. It's the end of the year. The movie has been out for a few months. It'll probably be coming back on the director thing anyway. So the character of her character basically has a parasitic twin that lives on the back of her head, like Voldemort style. So, Voldemort in the first Harry Potter, right? He has like that whole thing where it's like he's on Professor Quid's back of the head like this. That's basically her thing, where the parasitic twin basically lives still inside of her, but the twin is just essentially like a weird thing that pops out at the back of her head. And the way she's able to convey that and also act around with that because it's amazing to watch because it's like it's one of those characters that you think, okay, the character is probably just gonna be like one of those kind of like one-noted type of horror final girls and stuff like that too. No, definitely not. She really carries the role because one, obviously when the parasitic twin comes into play, the character herself like literally turns around like this and just starts walking backwards. Everything is like imagine like doing this backwards, like you're walking backwards, like like everything about you is just backwards. And I think she has like a stunt person doing the role for her to do all that stuff, but when she has to like when the character Gabriel, I think that's what the character is called, like comes into play, and the way she's just like slipping into her like thing, and you just see her like fall asleep, and you don't know, and then you just see her like slowly turning into the thing. It's just like, oh my god, dude, that's just dedication too, and also the role itself is a physically demanding role as well, and I'm just amazed how and I believe James Wan said that she was like physically up for the role too, where it's just like in a role like that you would be like very physical and all that stuff, and she was like, "Come on, bring it on." Of course he didn't say that, but I know she's British, so I don't think British people say, "Come on, bring it on" like that.
Come on, bring it on!
Yeah, come on. But yeah, I actually just thought of another one that's actually just popped up, but. Another role I believe was probably the best of 2021, especially as an actress, and it's the same thing with Halloween Kills, where the character is played earlier as a bitch, right? And the character and the actress who plays her, it's the town bitch essentially. She's basically the town bitch, and the role. I should say okay. I'm already getting ahead of myself. I believe her name is Anna Vin Lin. Yeah, Anna Lynn Vin Lin. It's a very long. It's Anna Lynn, but she has Lynn and then like in her name. So Anna Lynn Vin, or is it Anna Vin Lin? No, but because she has Lynn like Lyn and then Lin like Lin. So it's like I think that's like the last name. I believe.
Okay, Anna Lynn. So
Yeah,
that sounds so essentially that's what it is.
Interesting. I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation of the name. Just give me a check here. Oh, sorry. It's Anna Ali N Lin. So her name is like it's like Ali, and then her name has like another Ali in it, and then there's like Lin. That's the reason why I got like a little tongue twisted there. But her character on the show, Lexi Cross, starts off as like the bitch of the show, right? You really wanted her to get her comeuppance against Chucky, and then as the progression of the series is rolling around, it's just like, wow, that's like a quick turnaround where it's just like you would think that in a regular horror movie that character would be dead by the end of the second act, but no. Her character makes a great turnaround where it goes, okay, I hate this character. I want to see her comeuppance. And then at the end of the series, it's like, I like this character. Where was this character? And yeah, my other pick for the best acting performance by an actress is probably Hunter Schafer on Euphoria's second episode special. Yes. And that's why I said I had to look up, because Euphoria had like 2 episodes that were considered specials, but it's still a TV show. It's still part of the first season-ish type of way, I guess. But it's also something that could actually hold over until when they go into the second season and they actually release the second season, because they were busy filming the second season already throughout the entire year. So it was like last year they were supposed to be filming it, and then COVID, and then they did these 2 specials to like fill in some holes or whatnot. But Hunter Schafer's progression as an actress was really amazing because I don't think like the first season really shows her as progression, but this really shows like this episode called it's called Part 2 Jules, but there's another name for it that has a curse, and I want to get that demonetized and whatnot.
Okay.
The name, but
don't curse yourself.
But I gotta censor myself, yeah. But Part 2 Jules actually was written by her and the show's creator, and she actually called it a therapeutic experience because it actually involved a lot of it about her time with her mental health struggles, because she's a transgender woman, so she's talking about all the stuff that she's been dealing for the past for all of her life, talking about going into therapy and stuff like that too. And I'm watching this and I'm just like I was watching this, and the same thing with Zendaya and like the previous episodes, like I'm watching this and I'm like, this is like an hour episode, and I'm like 20, 30 minutes in. I was like, it still doesn't feel like 10 minutes has passed. 10 minutes has passed by. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's how good these actresses are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I kind of cheated because, I have like 3 of them and you have like 2.
I mean, hey, technically we're supposed to only do 1, so we both cheated. And I'm also surprised you didn't give like a special shout out to Ana de Armas.
Well,
Although we did kind of already do that, I guess, in the earlier.
Well, yeah. Well, that and also I haven't watched No Time to Die, so.
Mm.
And there's another thing. So anyway, shoot, what was the next category? Best TV show or best returning TV show. So yeah.
Oh, this one's gonna be easy for me.
I know. Just say it's Dexter.
Yes, it's Dexter. Dexter. Well, technically Dexter New Blood.
Yeah, so it's still a new show, but it's a returning show. Because
it's like a little bit of both somehow. Yeah. So basically what they do with this is like we see Dexter after he essentially faked his death at the end of season 8 of Dexter, and then now we're here. He's in this this small town called Iron Lake, and he's essentially kind of trying to create this new life. And he then kind of does start falling back into his old habits, while then also having to essentially raise his son, who also kind of does start showing some dark tendencies as well. So then it's like the one thing Dexter wanted to avoid happening with his son seems to actually be happening, and now he has to try and find a way to address it while also maintaining all his secrets, and then also deal with the fact that there is a serial killer in this town as well, who's also going to be getting in the way of Dexter's own relationship with his son. And there's a lot of great characters, and there's a lot of great acting in this. That I was already so hyped for this show that that Showtime had put the first episode, or the pilot, I guess, they're also called the first episode, on their YouTube channel for free to watch.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, great, I'm gonna watch it, and I was just hooked immediately because it's like it felt like such a return to form for what Dexter is. Like this felt like I was watching the early seasons of Dexter. Like that's how great the quality of it was.
Mm.
And so yeah, so then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna get Showtime later. I'm like, nope, can't wait. I broke and got it like a couple days ago, and I binged watched all the episodes they currently had out. And I'm like watching. I'm like, oh yeah, this is Dexter. They know what they're doing, and they're building up to something amazing. Like literally, I don't want to spoil too much, but the fact that one of the episodes. Okay, so if you don't want to hear any spoiler Dexters, just mute me, viewers, for like a couple minutes until I stop talking. 3, 2, 1.
Or just fast forward.
Exactly. But it's like I love the fact that it's like Dexter's secret does get found out by his cop girlfriend. And the last line of the most recent episode ends with her saying, "No, I don't need Jim Lindsay. I need Dexter Morgan."
Ooh.
And it's like I saw the trailer for the next episode. And it's like, yeah, it's clear she meant the forensic expert, but it's like to us the audience, it means no. we need the real
Yeah.
Dexter Morgan back. And oh yeah, he's already kind of coming back anyway. So it's like he's already kind of showing his his dark passenger side again. So it's like yeah, Dexter Morgan is indeed back.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm just so excited for the show because it's like it's so good. Clancy Brown as the villain is so amazing to see, and of course, he's Clancy Brown. He's always great as a villain.
Of course. And yeah, honestly, it does feel like Dexter New Blood. It does feel like a return to form, and it's something that definitely, stretches upon, hey, this is the type of show that we just miss and seeing about Dexter.
And also one quick thing too. So like how Harry was sort of like his conscience who would show up in a physical form and just kind of be there, kind of help out.
Yeah.
So now it's Jennifer Carpenter's character of his sister Deborah Morgan as taking on that role. But it's also showing how his own psyche is still torturing himself over what happened to his sister by some of the crazy stuff they show. But also embodying the fact that this would be Deborah's personality in Dexter's head.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to spoil what that means. It's one of those things you kind of have to watch it happen to see it, to like really get what it.
And my pick for best TV show of the year, and I say TV show, it's not a returning TV show. Of course, I kind of cheated with before, was like with Cowboy Bebop, like being a new TV show. But I guess this is both a returning TV show and a new show altogether, but Marvel's What If.
Mm.
And I'll tell you why. The first episode, when they do the whole thing where it's about Peggy Carter being Captain Britain. Well, not Captain Britain, but it's essentially Captain Britain. And then the episode with T'Challa as Star-Lord, I'm like, okay, I'm already hooked. But the moment they did the whole Avengers dying because of Hank Pym and how pissed off Hank Pym was, I'm like, this is the type of show I'm looking for in terms of awfulness. And then it just starts going into more and more like strange and surreal type of ways of like what ifs in the Marvel universe of how the tiniest little stones being floated into that timeline, creating a mess of multitude things. Like
one timeline you get zombies, and another you get Party Boy Thor.
Yes, which was an amazing thing to watch because it just shows how charismatic Chris Hemsworth is as Thor.
Mm-hmm.
But and I will say this though, there was a weak link in some of the casting though. It's like I love Rush. How you pronounce it? But they bring back Ultron and. They can't get James Spader because James Spader is probably busy doing the Blacklist or something like that, or he didn't have time to do it. So they have Rush. I forgot how he pronounced his last name, but he basically fills in for Red Skull because Hugo Weaving basically said, "No, I don't want to do this anymore." He was just one and done with Marvel.
Yeah,
which is amazing to know. It's like, oh, you gotta be playing Red Skull, okay, but I'm only doing it one time. Okay. But we want you.
I think he just hated dealing with those prosthetics to create that Red Skull face.
Yeah, and nowadays it's like they could just easily do computerized stuff, and Red Skull Endgame and Infinity War looks amazing compared to. I mean, he does look like he looks more computerized because of that, but even in the first Avenger, I mean, the first Avenger, he looks like he's just wearing like a rubber mask compared to, something like the Red Skull. But with Rush trying to emulate James Spader's voice, it doesn't sound like he's trying to emulate James Spader's voice. It just sounds like he's just trying to emulate Ultron doing James Spader. And that's really but the character of Ultron, it's an amazing feat to actually go from a guy who, I mean, an entity like Ultron and like Age of Ultron, and then suddenly coming back as this like classic return to form Ultron, like what you just said before with Dexter, like if you watch, if you read or watch the old Ultron stuff in other cartoons or read the other Ultron stuff in the Marvel comics, is like you get this sensation like that's Ultron. Like with Joss Whedon's Ultron, it just feels like he was like a confused child, and he was like a confused child. But yeah, it definitely feels like the Ultron casting was a little weak link in the thing, but I'm able to like oversee that as seeing a great series overall. And then they end the series and they end the season with the multiverse of the Guardians of the Multiverse, and I'm just like, that is an amazing hook. You know, of course they have like Gamora already there just randomly, but you know they were supposed to do that again with her character, but they didn't have time to do that with her character, so they got to save that for like season 2. Explain why she not only has like Thanos' armor and stuff like that too, and his blade by chance, but you know, it looked like she was also going through the like her version of Infinity War in Thor's place. And
yeah.
I would love to find out why that is, you know, her story. But yeah, my pick for 2021's best TV show was Marvel's What If. And I noticed that we've been talking a lot over for the past 2.5 hours. Of course, by the time this is released, this is probably split into 2 parts. One being the back half of this week's entertainment, and the other half being our just stuff between the best and worst of 2021. And I wanted to talk about that IMDb list, but I think that IMDb list is just like, it's just non-void when they have like essentially 8 of the movies just being superhero movies. Or 7 of the movies. I forgot how many of them, but it's
a majority of them for sure.
The majority of that like best movies is superhero movies, and the majority of the TV shows are superhero shows. And I'm just like, you know, where are all these other movies that haven't been out for like for the past, like, say, the past 5 months? That's like the majority of films that are on there.
Yeah, the market for it is still strong. And, you know, I just think it's just like, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, everyone loved Westerns when that was coming out. And I feel like that's kind of, you know, it's been pretty much, you know, mentioned to death before that, like, yeah, superhero movies are like the new Westerns. So yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like people are giving superhero films and superhero TV shows much more attention because they are so much more in the mainstream now.
Yeah, and as we wrap up the show, I just want to give everyone a very nice, happy holidays, a happy and wonderful, safe New Year, and just that 2022. As you know, let's just hope that 2022 is the hangover that was the binge or party of 2021, and just be like, okay, we gotta really figure out this shit. We really gotta figure out what.
Yeah.
Like I really hope that, you know, movies are back to playing in movie theaters and stuff like that too. And I do hope they keep on doing the option of doing both streaming on demand during the same time, and also during you know, just like in demand,
like releasing on the same day and then being able to like stream it on the same day if you can't like go to the theater or something.
Yeah, especially if it's like the theater is like, especially if you're living out in like 15 miles away from the nearest movie theater, especially if you're living in like some rural area, but you have like you have Netflix or you have Amazon Prime or Disney Plus or what have you, and you're able to buy that thing for like $20 and just watch it on your own accord and just be like, okay, no. But yeah. Hayden, do you have any last thoughts about 2021 that in entertainment or stuff like that?
No, not really. And just wish a happy holidays to everybody. Stay safe, and hopefully 2022 is not as crazy. I don't have a lot of hopes in that, but fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed and knock on wood. Anyway, take care, everyone, and please be safe, and bye.
Adios.